Hello and welcome back to the Hockey Shed, brought to you by Galvanised Hockey. Now today's guest needs little introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway because we've got some hockey royalty today. He has notched up 81 international caps. He's become a potent force internationally as an absolutely devastating striker, and he was recently awarded the Men's Hockey Player of the Year by the Hockey Writers Guild. I'm delighted to welcome the one and only Sam Ward.
Thank you.
Sam, welcome. I thought we'd start by telling us a bit about what you've been up to.
So recently we've been climbing up hills with the GB lot really, so it's been an interesting last 3 to 4 weeks. We basically take a break from hockey and focus purely on kind of developing strength, power, speed, so do lots of variety of running. So yeah, for the first 3 weeks we ran up hills, we did strongman circuits, did the odd track session, and just lots of bits and bobs to get as fit as possible, followed by the lovely bit of the diagnostics testing last week, also known as testing.
Now I've seen the Instagram video of you guys sort of post the hill run. How much fun is that?
It's a lot more fun than you expect. Like, I'm not one that, back in the day when I was a bit chubby myself, I wasn't one that enjoyed running up hills, and still to this day I don't really enjoy running that much, but yeah, the climb of the hills, actually there's something really satisfying about it. It's quite therapeutic, so actually I absolutely loved it.
And in terms of the kind of, you know, that physicality of things, is that something that is ramping up more and more now with sort of international hockey?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, when I first came into the programme, I was carrying a few unwanted kilos, and I actually was unlucky enough to need an operation. So I had that, and then spent 10 weeks getting as fit as possible. And that's probably actually what set me up for my career, because at the time before that, I was just not fit enough, struggling with training load and stuff. And by actually spending some time just focusing on getting as fit as possible, as strong as possible, that's kind of set me up for the last few years, and just kind of helping guide my way now.
And you've made a couple of references there to your previous physicality. You've changed quite a bit. You're looking ridiculously fast, ridiculously strong, powerful. You chase every loose ball across the pitch. What would you say is kind of your sort of best attribute physically now?
Best attribute physically? Oh, there's not many there. I think my long arms are actually. I've got arms of a 6'2" man, I think. So I've got extra long reach. So that's not to do with that. It's just my kind of like jungle arms, as I describe them.
And how was it that you got into hockey in the first place? Where did that come from? Is it a sport that you've always played, or is it something you've come to fairly recently?
It all started off from my mum and dad, basically. They played mixed hockey in Leicestershire, and I remember, as far back as I can remember, at age 4 or 5, just being stood on the side of a pitch, playing with a stick and ball all day, and just kind of enjoying myself, and it's kind of developed from there. So yeah, I just played lots. Dad was always coaching growing up. I used to go down with him, whoever he was coaching, just hit a ball about, and it's kind of just developed through time.
And at what point do you sort of become aware within yourself that actually you're pretty good at this? I know that you're a modest guy and you probably don't want to blow your own trumpet, but I mean, there has to be a sort of a point of recognition when you're sort of, you know, skinning 2 or 3 lads and putting one in the top corner. You think, you know what, I'm not too bad.
That's not me. I don't skill many people. If you put the old chuck and run in there and the odd hit as hard as you can, that's kind of my game. And I think the biggest thing for me is actually knowing your own game. Yeah, I personally would say I'm not the most talented hockey player in the world, but I've got a desire to score goals. I'm not afraid, and that's kind of where I feel I offer something a bit different, and not being afraid to get in and score what I'd call the dirty goals.
It's actually, it's probably an analogy that not a lot of people will agree with me on, but it reminds me a lot of Stefan Veen, who's the former Dutch captain, who also just used to always chase every possible ball, like like it was the last minute of a game. He had to get there, and I'm thinking it famously in one of the Olympics, he scored when a loose ball went and no one went for it, and he just dived. And I see you chasing balls like that, and in my mind, it's a very similar sort of style. Although he was more of a sort of midfielder and you're more of a forward, but that kind of tenacity, I think, is really, really impressive. And I mean, it's a strength that I think a lot of people see in you.
Yeah, I'd actually describe myself as just a very excitable puppy that likes chasing the ball, and that's kind of what it is. I struggle to run up hills and stuff and things like that, but if you chuck a ball, I'll chase it all day. It's a bit like around a cricket field. Yeah, I love fielding more than anything. It's probably my favourite bit.
And if you played a game and you did a lot of the dirty yards and the running, but didn't get the goals, do you still get the same satisfaction as you would do if you did less running and scored 2 goals? Is there, I mean, obviously, you know, the level you play at, it's a team sport, so kind of the individual merits aren't so aren't so important perhaps, but
Yeah, definitely. I'd say some of my favourite goals. I can tell you before Christmas, we played a league game at Canterbury, and I can say it's the worst game of hockey I've ever played. I was absolutely terrible, and I had so many messages saying, "Brilliant, you scored a hat trick." I was like, I was awful, like, and that's where I find it really hard. So yeah, actually, personally, I think, especially these days, the way we're playing international hockey, making the tackles, the jump backs, for example, picking a ball on the line at a penalty corner, things like that are a lot better for the team, are actually a lot more exciting. You get a lot more out of them than a back post tapping.
so for you personally, how do you critique your own performances? Do you critique your own performances, and on what basis? What do you use to do that?
I'd look at basically how I link play, things like that, because we can all, in the nicest way, I can stand in the D all day and try and smash a ball in a goal, but at the end of the day, it's about, as we said, the dirty yards, and I look at the extra bits I do as in the hard work. I think simple things of getting the blocks in, not be afraid, do what really matters for the team, especially at long corner scenarios and stuff, not being afraid when someone wants to smash a ball through you, to actually sometimes you're going to have to wear it, and they're the bits that sometimes make me a lot more prouder than the other bits.
In terms of kind of your mentality there and your mindset, for a young aspiring player who looks to you and sort of thinks, I want to be like that, and what are the kind of the attributes that you think that they would need to kind of work on most to kind of, not necessarily be successful and get to the top level, but to be successful within their own game?
I think a lot of it's mindset for me. So growing up, I was obviously didn't play junior, under 16s, 18s, and I was always told that I wasn't good enough. I was slightly round as well, as we keep going back to, but that's kind of it. And I wasn't fit enough. Now, in return, you can reflect on it. But the amount of times I was told that I'd never make it, for me, I always aspired to prove people wrong, and I still do to this day. So it's just, I'd say, just work as hard as you can, never give up, and that's probably the biggest thing I'd say to any young person coming through.
And obviously you score a lot of goals. It's been noticed, some goal celebrations that you've been enjoying alongside teammate Chris Griffiths. Bit of a bromance going on there. What's that about?
Always a bromance for Grifter. Yeah, we just enjoy celebrating a good goal, and there is a few photos recently, especially last year in London, where we looked into each other eye adoringly far too often. But yeah, no, it's all about having a bit of fun with them. Like, they all have something behind them, but it's always good laugh with people, and everyone knows what's going on.
Well, this is sort of pre-agreed beforehand, and
you've got to. If you're going to score, you've got to have something to kind of. You've got to have a way of celebrating it, especially if you can bring all your teammates into it as well.
Are you going to look to try and top some of those?
Yeah, I've got some big plans ahead.
Good to hear. Now, on the flip side, I've heard that, like, in between the sticks, you're actually not a bad goalie yourself.
I'm alright, I'm not too bad. It's like I've said at the other bits there, I'm not really afraid of things. Yeah, I'm not the tallest bloke though, so it's quite hard. But yeah, no, I have to say I do enjoy putting the kit on and trying to make a few saves. And yeah, I think it's a bit of a similar thrill to being a goal scorer. It's the same kind of thing behind it all. So yeah, it is fun sometimes. I did manage to get a game in just post the Europeans for Marlow actually in a friendly, and that was quite fun.
Now, when you're not running up hills and you're not pushing weights and you're not planning extravagant goal celebrations, you do a bit of coaching as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I like to visit schools and stuff as much as I can, and enjoy like seeing the smiles on the kids' face when you like go in and visit them, speak to them, and coach them. But yeah, currently I coach at Marlow Hockey Club every Tuesday night. I've actually had to let them down tonight to come here, so yeah,
it's appreciated. Thank you, Marlow, for lending him to us for the evening.
Yeah, they weren't so impressed, but yeah, no, absolutely love it down there. It's an absolutely amazing club, and they've got a fantastic junior setup. They are under 16. Girls recently won the indoor nationals. I think that's a first for the club as well. So that kind of shows the hard work they're really putting into it. Yeah, and on top of that, yeah, I'm part of a men's performance program. There's me and someone else, Kevin Chappell, who coached them on a Tuesday night, and it's all about developing the first and second team players as much as possible, and yeah, just seeing how far we can get them. And at the minute they're doing well. I think the first team, they're doing well, so that's second in the league. So hopefully they can push for promotion this year and really get up there and start going through the leagues again.
And what's the most enjoyable part of the coaching process for you?
I have to say, I really enjoy joining in with them, but probably shouldn't be. But no, I just love the fact that they're just brilliant listeners, and they really want to take everything on board, and they're working so hard at the minute. In general, all the boys down there, that it's just great to see their progression, and they finally got a clean sheet for the first time 2 weeks ago. So,
and you've now following the World League, you've got 81 international caps, but you said you wanted to talk a bit more about your England caps, because the statistics are slightly more favourable there, aren't they?
The statistics are slightly better. More goal, a better goal to game ratio in an England shirt, but I think that's just where I started my career. So I started, obviously.
We can balance that one out in the future.
Yeah, hopefully in time we'll get there.
So in that sort of international career, you've notched up so far quite a lot of goals, a lot of action. Who are the sort of standout players for you in terms of opposition? Who's like the toughest opponent, or most physical opponents that you've come across, and who are the players that you most enjoy kind of looking alongside you at the start of the match and thinking, we're going to have a really good game here?
I think there's completely different categories of what I like playing with and against. So playing with, one thing I really enjoy is there's a lot of us that grew up together as well, plays together. So I play regional stuff with Chris Griffiths, Dave Connon. So it's really nice to have playing together. Back in the day, obviously Ollie Willars from the village next to me, I grew up with him, been very good friends with at the age of 9. So to play with people like that is fantastic. In regards to people that I didn't know before, and before I came in the programme that well, was Barry Middleton. Like, how can you not look up to a bloke like that? He's represented his country 400 times, and he's still probably the fittest member of the squad and works as hard as anyone. And yeah, he's just absolutely incredible and inspirational to our sport.
In terms of your sort of career highlights, are there any particular goals or moments so far that you kind of look back on, and if it was all to end tomorrow and you were to look back and say, right, that was the moment that defined who you are, what would that be at this point?
I think probably my most important goal to date, I'd say, and it came to helping us win a medal, even though it wasn't great or anything, was my goal against Ireland in the summer. Because obviously 1-1, I don't think that would have meant we'd have made the semi-finals of the Europeans, and then obviously scoring that is huge. It's more what it offers to the team to mean we won, playing the semi-finals, and then to come away with a medal. That's huge, and after all the effort we put in and stuff, that was really what we deserved. So that was a fantastic moment for me, and yeah, I'd look at that as my most important goal, proudest moment, because actually it offered so much to everyone else, and it helped us get that medal.
Brilliant. And you said, obviously, you've mentioned playing alongside Barry. Did you have any kind of hockey heroes growing up yourself?
This is rather embarrassing. My hockey hero growing up was Barry. So I always wanted to be Barry growing up, and then I looked up to him and Ash Jackson, and obviously I got to play alongside them at the last Olympic Games, so that was incredible. They both helped me so much. Actually very good friends with both of them now, and it's almost surreal at times when you're like, especially Barry, growing up I was like, I wanted to be Barry, and now you play alongside him. And now I'm going to get a lot of jip for this comment later this week, so it's a bit of a tough one.
I'm sure Barry, again, is another modest guy. I'm sure he'll take it quite well, but the other lads might poke you a bit for that one. You're obviously a busy guy now, juggling your time between coaching, training and all the other bits. How do you kind of manage that process? Obviously, hockey's got a much higher profile than it did. The players and things are having to devote much more time to it in terms of getting that physicality right and getting your hand-eye and the ball time and stick and ball time. How do you juggle all that?
It's hard at times. I think obviously our training's very tiring, and a variety of club hockey, international hockey, travelling up to Beeston and back, things can be tiring, but I think at the end of the day it's just about doing what you enjoy, and at the minute I enjoy my job, and I'm kind of lucky enough to be able to do both. I've not got to work, I just play hockey, and yeah, that's a fantastic place to be in at the moment, where you can enjoy what you do.
And do you find time to make a bit of Sam time to kind of do what you want to do, and if you do, what do you do to kind of chill out, relax? I mean, is there ever a time when you sort of think like you put hockey completely to the back of your mind and crack out the PlayStation or read a book or?
Well, people are going to laugh. Well, first of all, I can't read, so that's not ideal. I'm not a huge gamer either, so if I'm completely honest, I struggle when I have free time. I'm not great at being on my own. I just enjoy company. So if it just means I can go and spend a bit of time when we're chilling out with a couple of the lads or whatnot, that's probably the best for me. Just chatting absolute rubbish and just enjoying ourselves is what I like to do. I'm not good when I have time on my own, and I get very bored, and I'm like, it's like simple things. I'll end up sometimes on a Thursday evening, if Marlow training, we're not been with Beeston recently, I just went down to Marlow training. They're like, why are you here? You're not meant to be here. I was like, I just don't want to be sat at home. So
fair enough. You've got your own signature stick. I'm going off piste here because I'm a stick geek at heart, so I'm not sure whether because you strike me as the kind of player who might just pick up any old stick off the side of a pitch and just play brilliantly with it. There are some players I know who have to have it within the certain milligram of weight and the bend in a certain millimetre of position. The stick that you've got, how did that come about? What sort of things do you look for? Is there any specific qualities in a stick, or do you just really not care that much, or is it?
Well, since I've been with Grays, I've used this shape basically since I started, so very used to it now, absolutely love it. So that's fantastic, but yeah, I am quite picky when it comes to weight. I'm a 500 gram man, and a 40 balance point, and I can get a bit grumpy if it's not around there, but luckily they deliver a lot, and get them to where I want them. So I obviously chose some interesting colours for this one, and hopefully shortly they'll be changing.
So the purple and green, that's it's a bold choice.
Yeah, sometimes you've got to be a bit different, haven't you? And
500 grams, that's ridiculously high. That's like indoor stick territory. So.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, it was because I was really weak and I couldn't pick any sticks up any heavier. That was why I actually originally chose it. But I've got a bit stronger now, hopefully.
So you can upgrade to a 525 gram now.
No, that's pushing it. 515 for me.
2018, quite a few bits of hockey coming up. Is there anything in particular that you've got your eye on? Obviously, the second half of the season's going to be for you at Beeston's going to be a sort of a main priority. Internationally, a few bits and pieces going on. What's what's got the biggest tick on your calendar for enthusiasm just now?
Obviously, internationally, my main focus is trying to get selected for the Commonwealth Games in April. Any tournament in the Gold Coast is going to be exciting, surely. So that's a good chance for us boys to go out there and perform. So hopefully we'll get selected for that. So that's on the international front. But before then, we've got a few Beeston games to crack on with. The main thing for us is trying to get back into Europe as a club, and that's what we aspire to do at the moment. Hopefully, we've had a good season so far. Hopefully can get ourselves in the playoffs and then see what happens from there.
Brilliant. Well, we wish you the best of luck for that. Thank you very much for coming to the shed. We really appreciate you ditching Marlow training to come down here for us and making time in your busy schedule. You can follow Sam and his exploits on Instagram, and we'll put a link up on the screen for you so you can check that out and see what he gets up to on the Gold Coast and all his other adventures. So thanks again for watching the shed. We'll see you again next time.